Hello, gamers, and welcome to Budget Arcade, a free-to-play gaming podcast to help you navigate the growing realm of free-to-play games. I'm Scott.
I'm Jeff. I'm back again.
Shut up, Jeff.
That's Cody. He's always happy.
Shut up, Jeff. I'm Cody.
I'm Elliot. Oh, see, I was waiting because I couldn't tell if he was going to actually say his name or.
I was considering.
I ruined it now.
That's Cody.
Look.
This is Elliot. He's filled with regret. Welcome to the podcast.
And not just about this.
Oh, it got real.
I was making some jokes earlier. He goes, oh Lord, what did I get into? Oh, you
God.
signed up with a bunch when I'm on here. You got a pretty mouth, boy.
Oh, God.
And PG is done.
Oh, welcome
Last week
to
was so
episode
friendly.
13.
That's the trick,
hey.
isn't it?
It's the brutal combination is Cody and Jeff.
Oh, geez,
When we get
for real.
together, it gets just vicious and mean.
See, I yelled at Elliot last week,
It just
but
it's
I
not
couldn't
the same.
bring myself
is
to
it?
be visceral. I
It's
couldn't be
just not
visceral
the
towards him because
same.
Elliot's so nice.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm so-
I can just say
no one would
Jeff,
ever
and it's
say
not
that.
even a problem.
Now we got to bleep it
Edit
already.
that part out.
Don't edit it.
Now
Jeff.
we
I know.
gotta bleep it
We
again.
got
That's the
it.
fun part.
Dude, look, I
Okay,
edit.
so just
That's
to
a lot
recap-
of
Welcome back, Jeffrey.
Yeah, no. Just to recap, we play a free-to-play
Okay,
game
but
for a
we play
week,
this
and then
Scott,
we
have fun
review it.
editing all this together.
Cody, what's this week's game?
This week's game is A King's Tale Final Fantasy 15. It is a beat-em-up side-scrolling game developed by Empty Clip Studios, published by Square Enix, of course. It was released on November 29th, 2016. It's available on PS4, Xbox One, and it has a ESRB of E, but 10 plus E.
Stay away,
Kids, at least
baby.
get-
Fantasy
at least
violence.
get double digits before you can play this game.
If
What
you
if
don't
you,
have teeth, you're not allowed to play.
Yeah, sure.
I think that's when people get teeth.
What
is
about
around
the
10,
toothless?
right?
If your kids
Jeff's
don't have
clearly
teeth
never
by
met a
10
child
o'clock,
before.
or by 10, I don't know why I said 10 o'clock. Yes, we're going with time now. If your kids don't have teeth by
Okay.
10, I would highly recommend going to the doctor and looking at that.
Or the dentist. Dude, Cody, do you go to the doctor
Whatever.
for your
Doctor-
teeth needs?
Doctor,
Jack,
dentist,
I got
whatever.
a overbite. Can you prescribe some medicine?
Well, normally I just go to my electrician. He gives me a cavity. He
gives you a cavity search?
Cavity search?
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, I
Cavity
know what he was
search.
going with.
You
this
must
is
do
gonna be
great
a great
electrical
episode
work
already.
to allow that to happen. So, what did everyone think of this
Oh
week's
my
Again, thank
game?
you,
God.
Scott. I just thank you. Appreciate
It's
it.
starting. Welcome, everybody.
So this
is
week we
Budget
played
Arcade.
Final Fantasy 78.
So they should have called
I
it
already
Final
played the game,
Fight
Jeff.
Yeah, we played it.
Fantasy
It's a beat 'em up.
1262.
Where you run around and punch things. I'd have been fine with that.
Boo.
And they should have Cody,
Boo,
like the
boo,
real
boo.
Cody, not the fake one that we have on the podcast. And they could fight.
Gotta shut your mouth.
They got a strong and a weak attack. That's your strong and weak attack as a beat 'em up game set in the world of Final Fantasy. B does a shield bash or circle, depending on the controller you decide to use.
if you're on Xbox.
And isn't that what I said?
No, you just said B does a shield bash.
And then I said circle. You'll
said
hear it when
B
you
or
listen
circle,
back.
depending on what
Oh,
controller.
okay.
That's right. Thank you, Cody. I take back everything you said about me. Okay, so you run in, you're countering. It's a beat 'em up game. It's got pixel art graphics, which I always approve of. What else? Am I missing anything?
Magics.
So I mean, it's your standard beat 'em up. Light, heavy. There's a deflect in this one, or the shield bash. You can actually use the shield bash offensively.
There's a
and
dodge
defensively.
too.
There are projectiles coming. There is a dodge. Didn't really use that one. You have to use that one against certain bigger enemies to dodge their attacks and then get
Cactuses.
I use the dodge more than
But,
I use the counter, though.
There's also
I use
Same
the dodge
here.
a
Yeah.
lot, but I'm also
Yeah.
very bad.
So there's also magic to this, which you have 3 bars of MP in this game. It's not a number or anything. It's just three small bars, and you can charge up ice, fire, or thunder. And obviously, the more you charge up, the more the screen it takes up, the more damage it does to your enemies. However, once you use this MP, the only way that you can recover it is by defeating enemies, and they will drop MP randomly. In the actual Final Fantasy 15, you can do the same thing. MP is gained by just waiting over time. but it's also
Yes.
recovered by fighting.
Yeah, and there's also kind of color coded magic. So, like one of the first things you get is an ice spell, and then shortly
Ice
thereafter,
is the first, fire's the second,
Right.
thunder's the last.
and so you'll fight these slimes that are red to start, and you use the
It's
blue.
called a flan.
They're slimes, all right, and flan.
It's a flan, Jeff.
Do you even know what
You're
flan
in my
is?
world now. You're in the Final Fantasy territory. Use the correct terminology.
You know what flan is?
Flan's a dessert.
It's a
Yes,
dessert.
I do. It's
Well,
actually-
I
it's
was
actually a
asking
Mexican
Cody.
dessert.
I figured
Egg
smart people
custard.
would
Good
know.
stuff.
Anyway, so you shoot blue ones at them, and then
Jeff,
later.
you're gonna make me cuss again.
Listen, I've had about enough of this. You tone it down, all right? You shut your mouth when you're talking to me.
Tone down.
So, and then
You
there'll
ever
be
had rat in your mouth?
what? All right. So then there'll be the blue ones that come in when you use the blue spell on the slimes / flan. It doesn't really do anything, so you have to switch to the fire and use that. So there's a lot of juggling your spells. And like Cody said, the mana doesn't really regen that fast, so you don't really want to miss your spells. Otherwise, you have to use manual attacks on enemies that aren't really hurt that much by physical attacks. So
Yeah, and there's actually quite a few enemies in this game, but anybody who's played any Final Fantasy, you'll recognize a lot of these monsters. They have the flan and the flan, however you want to pronounce it. They have that in there. They have the behemoths. They have the
cactus.
The cactar. Yes, they have the cactar. They
Yeah,
have
which
the
are
tomberry.
absolutely the worst enemy in this game. Hands down, the worst enemy in this game.
I
The
think
worst
the
enemy in this game,
tomberry.
Yeah,
absolutely.
No, the tongue.
No, you're full of crap.
They kill with one hit.
Tomberry.
Oh, dude, those
Tomberry,
cactuses,
100%.
man. Oh, y'all are
No,
whack.
I agree with
Ooh.
Elliot on this. The Toneberry, if you
You-
don't,
he just called us whack.
you get hit by him
Listen,
once and you're
you're not
dead.
allowed-
No, you agree with me on this. I said the tomberry.
Yeah, I'm
was
sorry.
You're
yeah,
not
it is
allowed to
worse.
use out-of-date disses on us.
No,
That's
dude, the
Scott's job.
cactus, man.
He says stuff that's out of date.
Yeah, let's hit it.
You don't get to call us whack.
The cactuses are worse. Tweet at me. Tell me
Wrong.
I'm right.
Incorrect.
I'm literally having my
Just
wife
saying.
tweet at me right now to let me know I was right.
Here, I'll tweet at you.
Oh,
Right
it doesn't count
She
if
knows
the wife
better
does it.
anyways.
I'll
She
leave
knows
other
you're
people
wrong.
do it.
Dear Ellie.
Yeah, that's true.
That's why you have a podcast called Tessa and Elliot Argue, not Tessa and
Man, we
Elliot
actually
Argue.
argued this week too. You guys are in
Nice.
for a real treat.
Ooh.
Slept
excited.
outside.
See,
for
we don't
a
ever
night.
argue, Cody and I.
Yeah,
Hold hands.
might have been the funniest thing you said.
All right,
yet.
so let's get back to the
I should
game.
take them on a nice dinner date.
I wish. It hasn't happened yet. So, listen.
Bull! Last time you came up here, you had a very nice lunch.
You wined and dined me. That's
Actually,
true.
both times you come here.
He whines
Anyway,
anyways.
Continue, Jeff.
So, the graphic. What? See. That one hurt. That was a bad one. Oh, okay. So,
They're all bad. Jeff, you're just not figuring this out. You've known this man your entire life, and you're just
it
not
didn't
realizing
always
they're
used to
bad.
be like this.
I used to be
Ever
happy.
since I've known him, it's been this bad.
Okay. So,
And for some reason, I still
the
agree to
video
do this
game we
podcast.
played had graphics, okay? And I want to talk about them because the pixel art looked really great. I liked a lot of it, except for the environments. The levels were so bland and repetitive. It was like the same
Now here's
frame, and then you move from left to right,
Yeah.
and it'd be the same frame, and there'd be like what 2-3 worlds in each sort of sequence. And instead of giving
So
you
there
fresh, something different to look at, they gave you the same thing with a palette swap on the colors.
So there was actually 5 total different worlds. What Jeff was talking about, the background images. There's 5 worlds, if you want to even call that, or 5 episodes. And then those are actually broken down into 5 separate levels. So you play, like, the first time you see the very first area you see, it's broken down, and you see the background. You better get used to that because you're gonna play it for 5 levels. But the levels are fairly short, and then
Yeah, when
run
you say
through-
level, you're really talking like small sequence, because this is not a long game.
Oh, I think we should also include this, that this is a prologue, or no, epilogue. No, which one's before?
No, prologue. You were right the first time.
Okay, I'm sorry, I got distracted. Prologue of Final Fantasy 15. So if you played Final Fantasy 15, you follow Noctis as he's becoming the prince and then eventually the king of
Spoiler alert.
the world. No, it tells you at the beginning of Final Fantasy 15 that that's happening. But anyway,
I know.
this is him actually. This is his father actually telling him a bedtime story. So everything he says is he supposedly had this adventure, and he says that Noctis even tells him that he can exaggerate some of this. So a lot of this, like, it's actually pretty amusing. So there's actually an achievement to die 10 times in this game in the story mode. Well, when you die
I
in the
didn't
story
get that
mode,
one.
You didn't get that one? I did. I did it.
No, I'm too
purposefully.
good.
I just ran through the final boss.
I didn't
over and over
know.
again. Yeah, it like every time you die in this game, especially in the story mode, it brings up the text and it's not just going, "Oh, did that really happen, Dad?" "No, I was too strong for them." Or, "Oh my God, did you make it out?" "Oh, I'm still here. You don't realize that?" It keeps playing on the story element, which is very
The
nice.
dialogue in this game
Well-
is so amazingly bad.
So when you say that's a nice touch, this is what I'm thinking though, in real time. So like my son, I'm like, "All right, buddy, let's talk." There was one time, your dad and Scott, we were riding our bikes, and I got ran over and killed. "Oh, Dad, did that really happen?" "Yes, son, I did." It's so stupid, but I get what you're saying, that it is wrapped in that. But that I didn't think that when you say it like that. Why is he going to tell a story that makes him look bad? And I was fighting him, and one guy stabbed me to death. And then like just say, "Nah, just kidding," and then move on.
Look, you die when you're a bad player.
I was just
like
seeing if you were
said.
paying attention,
Right.
son.
Right, so
I mean-
they have to have they have to have something to say, like, "Nah, I'm just." I mean, come on, that's a classic dad move. "And I died." Really? No. Okay, moving on.
This story is the story is non-existent, right? I mean, it's a prologue, and it was a pre-order bonus, right? So it's an attempt to whet your beak at the world that you're getting ready to play this big game in, right?
But it's a totally different game. So one of the things, like while you're battling,
Oh, completely.
it's numbers. So anyone who's played like Diablo or an RPG of that nature, when you're attacking people, numbers are flying off. But there's not really any RPG elements. You're not picking up a bunch of loot, equipping it. There's no real character growth that I kind of wanted. Like, there's a game on the Xbox Live, the Scott Pilgrim versus the World game, that was this.
Oh,
this side,
that game's amazing.
It's so good.
I always wanted to play that.
It's a side-scrolling beat 'em
Oh,
up.
the book is amazing. The movie
It's
is
a
amazing.
trifecta of greatness.
The board game is
Haven't
amazing.
played
Hey,
that.
there you go, Elliot. There's the next movie
it's
for
really
your
good.
review grenade.
Oh, but it's good.
It is
yeah,
good. It's very good.
I like watching bad ones.
So, anyways,
Anyway,
back what you
I
were
don't know
saying,
what I
Jeff.
was talking about, since we were talking about Scott Pilgrim versus the World. So it stars Michael Cera. Yeah.
As himself,
No, he's Scott Pilgrim.
he only has one role, and it's him.
Yeah, that's true.
Shots fired.
Well,
He listens to
look,
this
you
show.
can
He's going
this
to be
is getting
pissed.
off the rails.
All right. I forgot.
There are
oh,
better
yeah.
beat 'em ups, right?
RPG elements, that's what you're saying.
So- Yeah, there aren't any. It looks like there should be, but there aren't. And that's the point of the Scott Pilgrim versus the World game. It was a beat 'em up with RPG elements. It was awesome. I loved leveling up my character. It was co-op. It was great. And even though it's a free game, I kind of wish this had a little more depth, because, like we said, it is short. You can probably beat it in a sitting, and there's nothing.
Oh, I did beat it in a sitting,
I
right?
did.
Yeah. So
I mean, this game feels like it was made by like 5 dudes on a Saturday in time for the game to come out on Tuesday.
Oh yeah. No,
I mean, that's what it feels. I mean, the way just everything about it.
We didn't mention that there's also extra characters that you pick up along the way. I believe there's like 3 different characters that they can
Yeah,
be
so-
summoned to attack with you.
Yeah, so this is very similar to how Final Fantasy 15 itself works. So, if anybody has played any of the old school Final Fantasies, Final Fantasy 1 through probably, I never played past 9, but I've seen like 10, 11, 12. Anyway, you know that those are all turn-based games.
10's so good.
Final Fantasy 15 itself, not a King's Tale. So you control just one character, and you actually call it. Once you get into a fight, you earn a tactical bar, and you can actually summon your allies to do certain moves, to do damage, like piercing abilities, like a sweeping ability that can hit multiple people. This does very much the same thing. When you get a certain combo, you pick up characters along the way. Once you earn a certain combo, you just press the button. You press a combination of buttons in the middle of a fight. It summons one of these characters, and they do different abilities. One jumps in, he shoots several shots all around the map, or at several different enemies, and can kill them. One does a line ability that anything in their path, he absolutely destroys. And then one guy jumps in and just does a sweeping move like 2 or 3 times. So anything that's around him is going to get hurt. Yeah,
kind of like
so
an
each
AoE
one has
thing.
its own effect. And then you also have, I think it's once you get to a 25-string combo, you get the
25 pulls them, and 100 pulls the big one, right?
8 that pulls your
Or 50.
Your buddies, and then it's 25 that pulls the I can't even remember the name of it now.
Yeah, just edit that out for me, Scott. Make me
No,
sound
don't
smart,
do
please.
that.
Thank you.
I'll be
Just
very
get
upset.
take a snippet of the word polls, as he said, and then move it and rearrange it in some of his other words, creatively. That would be good.
Pull me, Scott. There you go. You happy
Man,
now?
that's a nice, clean one.
I have no shame. Have you met me?
No.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm looking up the word right now.
All right, back
Keep going.
to the polls. Cody, that's you.
Armiger. That's what it's called.
Okay, so
Armiger.
because they're
Something like that.
Armiger.
Durka.
Okay, but that's all in Final Fantasy 15, right?
So the last bit I just described is actually in this game. You have a hit combo.
Oh, okay.
That whenever you have a hit combo, that refers to a King's Tale. In the actual game, there is no actual hit combo, but the more damage you do, or you dodge, you counter, or cast magic and do damage, any of that adds into your tactical bar. Once you earn a tactical bar, depending on how much a certain move costs, whether it be 1, 2, or 3 tactical bars, you can basically summon your allies during combat. But no. The actual combos, that refers to this game.
Yeah, and if you can summon all 3 of them before you do the big one, it's even more
okay.
damage.
Yeah,
So that's the trick, too.
If you get the Armiger ability, which is basically you, spoiler alert, in Final Fantasy 15, you can summon all these ancient weapons. You can do the same thing in this game, and you just basically launch them at one enemy, it does a bunch of damage. Every time you summon an ally before you activate Armiger, it does they do an extra attack, which does a ton of damage. So the best thing to do is to get Armiger, summon all 3 of your characters, make sure that you summon them without getting hit, and then once you activate Armiger, it goes through all 3 of their animations to do extra damage, and then you get to use yours. If you get hit during that animation, it cancels everything, and you have to start over, though.
And there's also these crystals throughout the levels that summon titans, I believe they were.
I don't know what they're called in this game. I actually did not get to where you summon. It's the summons from the Final Fantasy games. But I can't.
Okay.
I can't remember what they're called. I know they're called Espers and 6. They're called GFs and 8. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't remember. I haven't played 15
Guardian
in a while
Forces
since
in
it came
8.
out.
By the way, very unpopular opinion, 8 is the best. Just gonna throw that one out there. Moving on.
No, that's the one I played too.
Man, 8's good.
No,
9's
I
good
played
too,
7, 8,
though.
and
10's good
I never-
too.
I
10's
hated
really good
13.
Final
too.
Fantasy 4.
The
I
sequels
never
to 10
had-
kind of suck.
Specifically the one on
Yeah,
the DS.
13 is pretty.
So
I never
good.
had a PS2, so I never got to play 10. My buddy played it. He said he loved it.
Yeah, 10's good because they talk. You don't have to read all the dialogue in that. And it's the first time they do that, and it's amazing.
Laughing scene I was actually with my buddy when he experienced that for the first time.
Oh, there's a lot of that.
Weird. Anyway, so I told these guys before we got into the podcast that nobody mentions the final boss of this game. If you are a Final Fantasy fan, I will not spoil it for you, but I will say that if you have played Final Fantasy 3 or 6, the final boss of this game is pure fan service. I found it, I loved every second of it, and I found it extremely funny.
I literally had a note about how extremely dumb the final boss was.
I'm guessing you never played Final Fantasy.
I literally have it written down. I don't want to spoil it, but extremely dumb. No,
I didn't
literally
get to
wrote
the last
extremely dumb
boss,
next
but
to
just
it.
by you guys talking about it, I think I know what the last boss is.
I like I said, I'm not going to say who it is, but if you played the game I'm talking about, you probably know, and it actually is pretty hysterical.
I'm gonna.
So you might as well spoil it.
I'm gonna mute my mic and I'm gonna tell Cody, and you tell me if I'm right or not. Okay, Cody?
Okay. No, it's not. No, it's.
No.
You want me to tell you?
That would be way cooler than what it was.
I'm gonna mute my mic.
That would be
I
1,000
don't know
times
how.
cooler.
Did you play Final Fantasy 6?
It starts with a K.
I don't know how.
All right, just keep going. Don't worry about it. Just keep moving. So yeah, anybody who has played Final Fantasy 6, if you're in the U.S. or Final Fantasy 3 in Japan, you were gonna love the final boss. I know I did.
And if you're me, you won't.
Yeah, Elliot
You'll be let
didn't
down.
understand it. I did. I mean, you're
My
gonna get a
knowledge
quick
of Final
feel out
Fantasy
it,
is
but it's
super
gonna go
low.
really fast. So once you complete this game, I am actually the only person in the group that 100%ed this game. Very short. It took me.
Because Cody has no life, and the rest of us had stuff
I've
to
already
I
do.
was
said
just
this.
playing better
I'm
video games.
Bruh, I'm an engineer. Of course I don't have a life. But no, it took me slightly
I
under 5
apologize
hours
to any engineers listening.
They
Just
all
because
know
Cody
it's
doesn't
No,
have
it's
a life
true. My
doesn't-
brother's an
all know
engineer.
it's
He doesn't
true.
either.
especially when you're still in school. They know it's true.
At Butt Biscuits, you can go there.
So it took me
Cancel Butt
slightly under.
Biscuits. Hashtag.
So for the last time, it took me just under 5 hours to 100% the game.
Wow.
So
The dream sequences, the dream battles took you like 3 hours?
yeah, that's about it.
Man,
And some of that was looking up
that's brutal.
and some of that was just like looking up like to make sure that I knew all the combos. So that's all the achievements, everything. The dream sequences you unlock once you beat the main story mode, and it's basically just replaying the same levels you just played, just with a certain condition. Defeat so many of a certain enemy. Don't use magic. Don't use comrades. Don't take damage. Just stuff like that. That's all the dream sequences are. And I think there's 15 of them total. So I mean,
Yes.
it takes a little time because in the dream sequences there are
Maybe
a
20.
lot more enemies than in the standard game. But like I said, it took me maybe like 2.5 hours, 3 hours tops to beat all that.
Man, that's a lot. That's dedication to this game.
Dude, I pick up on stuff like this really fast.
Well, and Cody's a completionist, so.
Yeah, that is true. Yeah, you.
Man, if I'm not having fun, I'm like, it's
I
okay.
used to kind of get hung up on completing a game, but now, like, if I really like a game and I've spent a lot of time with it, I'll try to complete it. Like, Enter the Gungeon, I'm just 2 achievements away. I'm going to do my best to get that done, but most games, I'm fine.
All right, let's take a short break.
Yeah, if I'm not having fun,
We're taking a short break. His name is Darren. Take it away, Darren.
I love Darren.
Hi, and welcome to a plug for the Media Obscura podcast.
What?
I know, you thought I was just going to start an episode, but this is a plug.
Weird.
Yeah. Hi, everybody. This is not the podcast you thought you'd be listening to right now. It's a plug for a different one, but we'll let you get to your show really soon, I promise. My
course.
name's Nick. This is my faithful co-host, Mike.
Hey.
He isn't allowed in the state of Utah for reasons that I can't even fully disclose.
No, you can't.
I just don't understand them,
It's
honestly.
illegal.
So anyway, on our show, we check out old and obscure retro movies, and we talk about them. Now, I know you're wondering, well, who are you to consider something obscure? You know, what's obscure? Well, honestly, it's an excuse for us to watch just the weirdest stuff we can get our hands on, as well as a couple of old classics, and then banter about it. So if that's your cup of tea and you want to check it out, give us a listen.
Of course.
And here's your show. And bye.
Love you.
Hi, I'm Alex Williams, and every week on My Wax Museum, I'm joined by someone else from my regular old everyday life. I get to hear these amazing experiences from people that I just know. The best part is, you know amazing people too. So listen to My Wax Museum, and then spend 5 minutes daily listening to someone you know. You'll be amazed at the stories they have to tell.
Are we back? Thanks, Darren, for those kind words. Cody, you were saying?
So I just wanted to touch on the whole achievement thing. Like, oh, if I don't upload, even if like I still enjoy a game, even if I have to grind for this. Like these last couple of achievements, I had to really grind for. It's really not that bad. The biggest problem I had with it is, well, I'll save that for the replayability. Just keep moving. Scott, next thing, you got anything to say?
Well, there's nothing to purchase in this game, so you don't have to worry about that. It is 100% free.
That is nice. That weighs a lot into my opinion of the game. Just the fact that I download it. It's short, but the price is right. So, and there's no microtransactions.
Yeah, it's I enjoy that. I mean, again, like they said, the game is very, very short, but for what it is, it's actually pretty well made, even though it does seem like there was only like a handful of Square Enix guys that got together on a weekend and made this thing.
Well, I was bagging on the background stuff, but the character sprites look really great.
No.
The actual moment-to-moment gameplay is pretty good, like the dodging and the parrying and all that. But it does, after about an hour or two, which is about the length of the game, it gets a little old. So I think it does a good job not outstaying its welcome. About the time you get tired of it, it's over.
That is true.
And unless you're wanting 100% it, you don't have to go back into it. But what's there is a good foundation. But what I was saying, what could make the experience better and make you want to come back to it more is like RPG elements, loot drops, things like that. Because I would love another side-scrolling beat-em-up RPG style game.
And I would have loved it.
My problem with the sprites, for me, was the sprites were so much better produced than the backgrounds that it felt at times that you were watching like an old cartoon, like cell shaded, where like the backgrounds are one layer and then 7 layers later are the sprites that you're fighting, and it just took it out of place to me. It felt like they were kind of floating above the background that you were just scrolling past.
Yeah, and I will say that like it just when you run through the story mode, you're gonna get real sick of seeing that background because it's very repetitive. It's you get a quick cutscene or like a quick bit of dialogue and like, oh no, what were you doing, Dad? Oh, I was going to fight, son. And then
I have some dialogue prepared if you'd like.
Oh, absolutely.
I have some dialogue prepared for you. Again, Dad, you're so cool. Good one, son.
That's after he's talking about the ice magic.
Now you're cooking.
That's when he's talking about fire magic.
Back in the day, your dad was hot stuff.
That's when he was talking about fire magic.
And then at one point, he yells no, like Vader in the 3rd Star Wars movie, where he just goes, no!
Some would argue the best Star Wars movie.
I've never seen Star Wars.
I don't think anyone would. Whoa, get off of this podcast right now.
I've got a couple things that Cody ever wants
you
to
allow
be on.
him,
I didn't know that was a thing with him.
Film soliloquy. I can make him.
There's so many things wrong with this child.
He hasn't seen Shawshank.
What?
After this,
Oh my
ask
gosh.
me a couple of movies that you think everybody has seen in their lifetime. I guarantee you haven't watched them.
He hasn't.
I'm not a
watched
movie
it.
person. I'm sorry. It's just not me.
Shawshank.
The painting is starting to come together
Star
now.
Wars. Forrest Gump.
I get it. Cody is a serial killer.
Showgirls.
I get it.
Hey, look.
Showgirl's good.
Shut up. I'm not going to neither confirm nor deny that. So, Elliot, just keep your mouth shut.
Are you
Let's move
left-handed?
on.
Hey,
Okay,
you better watch your
replayability.
tone where you're going now, Elliot.
Okay.
You better tone it down.
So, replayability.
Nothing wrong with being left-handed.
This,
All serial killers are left-handed.
Yeah, so you better
what?
tone it down.
Shots fired.
Yeah, I am.
Shots
Google it.
fired.
Hey, Elliot.
So-
if you only know Jeff's real last name, you'd wonder about that too.
That's true.
Yeah, Dahmer.
Yep. Hey, bite that out.
Oh yeah.
I don't want people knowing my last name.
Okay, we'll bleep it out.
All right.
Record over it. Say Hanseling. That's my last name.
So this is the point that I was going to get to previously that I said, I'm going to hold off. The biggest problem with this game is that there is, at least to me, there's almost no replayability. So you play through the original story mode. There is an easy and a normal difficulty. I don't know if there's a hard. Can someone confirm or deny that?
No, there's just
Okay,
two.
that's what I thought.
Because I played it I beat it as normal, and then I beat it as hard.
Yeah, so
I replayed this game more than it deserved.
yeah, so nothing changes. Literally, all it is it's a lot like other games where all it does is it scales the damage you do and the damage you take. That's all it does. Like I said, once you beat the game, you have the dream sequences, which gives you a special objective to complete during this time. However, you don't really have to complete that unless you want to get all the achievements or trophies in the game. So it really doesn't matter. But once you're done, like with me, like I said, it took me a little under 5 hours. And I was looking at it, I was like, I mean, I had fun. It was Final Fantasy 15. But yeah, I'm done. There's nothing else for me to do. If I play through
I kind of
again,
actually like that
nothing
in this because
nothing happened.
once you're done, you're done. You move on to the next thing. And for a free game, I'm actually kind of fine with that. I like that it was brief and it didn't overstay its welcome.
Oh yeah, and I agree. I mean, if they put some achievement in there, it's like, hey, grind out 100,000 kills in the game, and you only get like 1,000 the first run through. I'd be a little upset with the game, but yeah, I mean, it's the game is very short, sweet, and to the point. Unfortunately, with that also comes the no replayability with it. So, I mean, if you were planning on spending tens of hours on this game, 20, 30, 40 hours, not going to happen. Unless you're
You're
really,
a serial
really
killer
bad.
if you're spending 30 hours on this.
That's two people you've now accused of being serial killers.
Yeah, people who play this game for 40
I think
hours
Ellie's
are serial
projecting.
killers. And Cody.
Yeah.
That-
Oh, that was...
I'm
Hey,
stable.
Did you hear that
Look,
laugh?
Elliot.
Did that sound genuine?
Elliot, just
No.
remember, we're gonna
No,
go back
I
to
don't.
elementary school here. If you point the finger, you got
Serial
three fingers
killers?
pointing back at you.
What?
Just saying.
Oh.
All right.
All right, give
High
that
school.
one to Scott.
Elementary school burn.
That's a Scott line. Bad. Cody.
I know. Hey, look, I never said I was proud of it.
All right.
I
So,
didn't
do we
claim that
give
with pride?
Jeff? Do you give it your seal?
Yeah, it was fun for as long as it lasted. I mean, you download it, you play it for 2 hours, you remove it from your hard drive, or it's an easy 1,000 gamer score if you play on Xbox. I don't know if you get a platinum trophy on PlayStation for it or not, but if you're an achievement hunter, you can blow through it pretty quick, and it's a good time for what it is. Yeah.
All right, Cody.
Sure. I mean, like I said, there's what the combat's very basic. It's light, heavy, shield. There's a dodge. You have a little bit of magic that you can use.
Yeah, we already covered that in gameplay.
I know. God, will you let me finish my review?
So repetitive. That's not a review. Just give us your seal or not.
Just like
keep
this
saying
game. Repetitive
over
like
and
the
over.
game.
I want to walk off the podcast. I swear to God.
Now I'm gonna have to beep
You
that
don't even
too.
have to walk.
Oh my god, that's the second
Yeah,
time
I
he's
know.
got to beep
You
it.
gotta keep beeping.
Man,
See, this is what
Scott's
happens
got
when
so
you
much
insult
work
me.
to
You have
do.
to edit more.
You're such a jackhole.
I know.
A jackhole.
But I'm a loving jackhole. So even though it's a very, very basic side scroller, and I would have loved to have seen more of the RPG elements brought into this, it was short, sweet, and to the point. As we've
Unlike
covered
your
several
review.
times on this podcast, I am an achievement hunter. It was
So good.
it was great. It took me a little less than 5 hours. I had fun the whole time I was doing it. I think maybe like the last 2 or 3 levels, I was like, oh, I kind of don't want to do it. But overall, really not that bad. Sure, pick it up and play it. It's not that much of a grind. And if you, like I said, if you've played Final Fantasy 6 or 3, depending on where you're from, You're the final boss. You're gonna get a pretty good laugh out of.
Elliot,
I'm not giving it my seal. It's too
Well,
basic
screw you, Elliot.
for a game like
You
this. I
serial
need something
killer.
else. You can spend 2 hours playing a better beat 'em up, hands down.
But is it free?
And if this game had multiplayer,
Yeah.
maybe if I had couch co-op here, I could get into this. Maybe it's just too basic. There's way more better beat 'em ups that are more enjoyable.
There are definitely
It's
better
really repetitive
beat 'em ups,
for
but
2
how many
hours.
of them are free?
And yeah,
come on.
I think
Hurry,
the
come
big
on.
selling
How many?
point
How
of
many?
this-
Sure.
That's a good question, I guess. 7.
Okay. fair
Wrong.
enough. He knew.
It's
We're not
wrong.
no
Elliot.
fact checking
I have
done.
no idea how many it is. I'm just screaming wrong.
I don't know. It just seems so basic and standard to me, and really repetitive. Again, if I had multiplayer, if I could play with a friend right next to me, that's what beat 'em ups are fun, right? Is like playing with a guy beside you.
Absolutely. And
But so I'm not gonna give it my seal.
I can't blame you. I think it really rode off the coattails of it being a Final Fantasy and a Final Fantasy that everybody loves. So I can agree with that. I see where you're coming from.
It's not terrible. It's not the worst game I've played, but it's, yeah.
Man,
This will get my seal of approval just because it is a free beat 'em up. Not much to it. You know, you can play it once or twice and be done with it. You know, like Jeff said, you can delete it after you get your achievements. It's worth the time because it's 100% free. Yeah, I give it the seal.
So, since we have 4 people voting, I say it needs to get 3 thumbs up to be sealed and delivered. So it's up to Cody.
See,
now.
I was brought in to be a pawn in here, wasn't I?
What? No.
he just
No,
wanted you to
definitely
bring you in so you would be the only person who said no, and then we could all shame you for
I'll be
saying
honest.
no.
I think Scott likes you better than that.
Shame.
Shame.
I'm missing the Game of Thrones finale for this. I hope you guys appreciate
Oh, well,
it.
you're not missing anything.
I'm gonna let down here, and
Well,
I'm
you
gonna
know,
go watch
none of
that.
us watched
That's the
that
final
except you.
boss.
Yeah, I was about to say, since
Oh,
I'm saying
this
I've never
season's
watched Game
terrible.
of Thrones either.
If you haven't watched it, don't watch it because the last
Yeah, that's what I
season is
keep
just
hearing.
terrible.
I heard the
so
first couple
bad.
Cody,
episodes
what
were
do you
good,
rate
but-
this game? Hey, Cody, what do you rate this
No,
game?
this season.
I rate it
Hey, Cody, what do
7.
you rate this game?
7.5.
Hey, Cody, does this get your seal of approval?
Yes, it does.
Okay. What about next week?
Oh, jeez.
Screw next week. I quit.
I'm excited for next week. Oh, I'm so excited for next
One other
week.
piece of news. It says here, we do know that there's some cognitive divide between left and right-handed people. Left-handers tend to have better spatial ability and working memory, for instance. But criminality is not one of them.
No, it's, yeah.
It was on the internet, so it's true.
Yep.
9 infamous left-handed criminals and killers: Osama bin Laden, Jack the Ripper,
Okay.
John Dillinger,
Okay, they can't prove
Billy
Jack
the
the
Kid.
Ripper because
Okay.
they don't know who he was.
Precisely. So that debunks
that's
your
It's
a
argument.
on the
moot point.
internet. What did we just say about the internet?
Here's the other thing.
I see.
You know what happens if you Google right-handed serial killers?
There's
Nothing.
a ton of them.
Because there's
You
too
get
many to
nothing.
number.
There's a lot of right-handed people, Elliot.
Just
Julius
because
Caesar, Napoleon
Okay,
Bonaparte,
Elliot, we get the point.
Queen Victoria,
Barack Obama.
George H.W. Bush.
Barack Obama was
You're
also
welcome.
left-handed. So
Okay,
Wait,
so
this is my party. I can just kick him and we don't hear him anymore.
anyway,
Oh, I like it.
Did you torture animals as a child, Jeff?
No. Definitely
No, he
not.
just tortured his
At all.
brother.
In the front yard. At all. Not once.
Average serial killer is a white male, lower to middle
sounds
class.
like
That I can
Elliot.
agree with.
Over 90% of serial killers are mid.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
now
that
what are you
puts
trying to
you
say?
in the realm, though,
Elliot,
too.
I really feel like you're trying to pigeonhole one of us here.
Because you know,
Settle down for a minute.
like Ted Bundy was right-handed and a white man, like you, Elliot.
Freaking weirdo.
This has been Serial Killers 101. You can.
I don't think anything you've said is
Google
factually
us at-
accurate. I'm just gonna throw that one out there.
Nothing we ever say is. It fits right in. We don't know what we're doing.
all right. So next week, actually when this episode airs, there is a new free-to-play game coming out called Dauntless. It's being released for the
Dauntless.
whatever, Xbox, PS4.
Oculus.
Staves.
Shut up. And the
Not the staves.
okay, enough of that.
On top of more staves.
And we will be reviewing that the final week, or the following week. Are you guys done?
John Wayne Gacy, right-handed. Jeffrey Dahmer, right-handed.
Elliot,
Ted Bundy,
right-handed.
right-handed. Richard Ramirez, Eileen Warnos. The list goes on. So many murderers are right-handed white males.
You can just say whatever you want, and Jeff will go like, "Let me prove her wrong." I'm sorry, Scott. The best part about coming on this show is that I don't have to edit this. I love that.
Thank
I'll
you.
be on whenever you want. As long as I don't have to edit, it's the
See,
best.
That's where the joy is, because he really doesn't have to edit anybody else much except for me, because I have a foul mouth. And last week when he actually texted me, he's like, "Jesus, the sniffles on Cody. Good Lord." I apologize, but I'm worth the effort. What can I say? I love me.
So we're playing the Dauntless,
Yes, we are playing
next
Dauntless, and
right, Scott?
Yes. And it is a new free-to-play
Scott has
game.
actually played-
We got to play a little bit in early release. Unfortunately, the servers were acting funky on the Xbox. I believe Elliot.
They were acting funky
they were.
today on the PlayStation. I had a hard time getting into hunts.
So
this
we were
afternoon.
going to try to do a first. What's the word I wanted?
a first look,
Impressions?
first play.
First impression.
First impressions.
First
I
base.
do have first
Yeah,
impressions.
we were going to do a first impressions of the game, but we're going to skip it and do the review of the game next week. But it's looking to be a pretty decent game so far. So thank you for joining us. If you're listening on iTunes, we ask that you would leave us a 5-star review. If you can follow us on Twitter at Budget Arcade. From there, you can join our Discord. You can also join our Discord through the show notes. If you have any hate mail, you can send it to budget.arcade@gmail.com. Music is done by
Or
Stimage.
butt biscuits.
Nobody cares about butt biscuits because
You
you
don't
don't
look
you
at
don't even
that.
talk back on
You
that.
don't even know what Twitter is. Why do you keep
You're right.
telling people to
That's
go to
why,
Butt Biscuits?
That's why it's great.
Because you
If
never
somebody
use
sends
it.
me hate mail, I don't read it anyway, so whatever.
Why do you guys always interrupt
Also-
me when I'm on The Music is by Stimage? You always do that. Everybody.
It's fun.
Cut it out.
I apologize to Stimage.
I've never done it. I like
Yeah.
to
You
point
can
that
go to
out. Thank you.
Metroid Music, MetroidMetal.com, and check his stuff out. We appreciate that he has not called us and given us a cease and desist. Also, Elliot is from Tessa and Elliot Argue. You can listen to their podcast in the same place you're listening to this one.
Good warning is that it's
And Jeff is on a podcast called Film Soliloquy.
That's right. I've listened to that podcast, and it's quite good. We've been on a brief hiatus, but we will be returning in the coming week.
Hey, Cody.
Hey, Cody, have you ever wanted
Cody.
to be on Film Soliloquy? I'm going to make you watch Star Wars. I'm going to make you watch...
So Cody,
Ooh, that one hurt.
He was
I take full responsibility for Jeff doing Film Soliloquy because otherwise he wouldn't have started doing that if I didn't forced him on this podcast. So he is allowed to bring up the podcast at all times.
Yeah,
So,
I know.
you
it's
have
always just
Scott
so
to
much fun
blame.
Give him heck about it.
Oh, I know.
Don't look at me!
He wasn't even on last week, and I gave Elliot heck about it because he brought it up. He's like, "Yeah, I have a good friend who's he has a podcast called."
Yeah, Jeff heard it.
Oh, why are we bringing it up now?
Jeff
thought it
Jeff
was
heard it. He
gone.
listens
Yeah,
to the
Jeff
show.
listens to the shows.
I actually listened to the show.
I
and
listened
the
to,
same
I
day
listened
the
too, and that's why
podcast...
you got a very ominous
The
message.
same
from me
day the podcast
Discord.
came out, I listened to it, and I commented on it on Twitter.
I don't comment. on
You
it.
should try that.
I don't
Cody.
even know how to use Twitter. I'll be
You don't
perfectly
listen to
honest
the
with you.
podcast.
I do listen to the podcast.
We don't know what's going on.
All right, this has been a Little Gray
Oh,
Boy
okay. Which one?
Podcasting Network production. Again, you can see or listen to other great podcasts on that network as well.
Doesn't Little Gray Boy Podcasting Network have a Twitter account?
It
now?
does, but I don't.
Yeah,
Is that-
probably.
I
Little
don't know,
Gray
I think
Boy
it's like
1
Little
or
Gray
something.
2 or something. They really need to change it up.
Yeah.
But I don't think.
All right. On that note, let's send it off.
All right. Until next week, game on.
Screw you, Jeff.
I love you, Cody.